You are listening to Radiant Creators, a collaborative project composed of people whose passion, purpose, and dedication requires forging their own unique path of empowerment and livelihood. A Radiant Creator isn't making a living, they are living. Today we visit with Case Parks at Bell Rock Vortex in Sedona, Arizona. Case is best known for his YouTube channel, Everyday Masters, where with an alluring mix of wisdom and humor, speaks on various mind-expanding subjects such as reconnective healing, the existence of higher self, and what it's like to live within the fifth dimension. Case was a living embodiment of a magical life from the very first moment we met him. We watched in awe as he rolled effortlessly into a parking spot that seemed to appear out of nowhere in the crowded lot of a major tourist destination. While conducting the interview, we were interrupted by a wandering tourist who walked right between us and the camera. He seemed drawn to Case, and as you can hear in this video, says to us, "You have the most interesting conversations." We all agreed that this random stranger, captivated by the amazing energy of this interview, was meant to be included, so we made no attempt to edit him out. Case, welcome to Radiant Creators.
Well, one of our first questions is, how did you learn to reconnect?
How did I learn to reconnect?
The reconnective
The reconnective healing. Okay, so I guess it started, I had spent, probably like 7 years, and I was just searching out the truth.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I was just going down every rabbit hole. And through certain people like, I guess you say like Bruce Lipton, Greg Braden, those guys, and even movies as simple as The Secret, I knew that there was this field and that we were creating our lives. And so in pursuit of learning more about that, I was actually watching The Divine Matrix by Greg Braden, which is a fantastic presentation. And after that, you know how YouTube is like, well, you dug that, you might dig this. And so it was The Living Matrix, The Science of Healing. I believe that's what it's called. And so I just started watching it because I couldn't go to sleep. And there was this guy, and he was floating his hands over these people. And he was a healer. And these people were having real healings. And to be honest, I didn't have a desire to be a healer. But I knew that he was interacting with the field. And somehow, through that interaction, that people were having healings. So I bought his book. And I just started reading his book, The Reconnection, Heal Others, Heal Yourself. And a couple chapters in, I started feeling these frequencies. And the first time I felt them, it was like I'd been waiting my whole life to feel that. It was like the proof that I had, you can manifest things in your life and you're like, oh, I did that. But then your rational mind kicks in and says, oh, well, maybe it's coincidence. But this was just, for some reason, it was the proof. I'd been waiting my whole life for this. And so the more I played with these frequencies, they got stronger and stronger. And then I started giving my friends sessions, and they had these really intense experiences. And then I started working on some people that had some health issues, and their health issues improved. And so I was like, I'm supposed to do this. And so I just went to Eric Pearl's training session and got trained and learned how to reconnect people. And the reconnection, the 2-day process I'm always talking about, that's just like a recipe. Like you just follow an exact recipe. You're laying in this fifth dimensional set of lines over top of your meridian lines. And I don't think anybody really knows exactly how it happens, but people just they just begin to wake up. Like life starts making sense to them, and they step into this knowing, because it's easy to say I'm a spiritual being, having this physical experience, but then life, this is the real deal down here. And the challenges we face are very difficult, and so we get popped out of that big picture. But for some reason, when people go through this reconnection process, you just know, and you just quit wavering, and for some reason you just trust yourself more. You trust this inner voice, and when you trust it and you see how the magic plays out, then you trust it more, and more, and then you just get to the point where you just never doubt yourself, and you just have complete trust. And so yeah, it was just researching that there's something more going on down here, and it just led me down that path.
So it was just basically following your passion. You had
Following
this,
my passion.
and then you self-taught, and then you just started doing it. Just
Yeah, and the weird thing is when you go to these seminars to learn how to do this, there's nothing to learn. It's all about consciousness. I've traveled with Eric, and I've been a teaching assistant for him, and you're really just trying to remove these beliefs of fear that keep someone from fully opening the door for others to heal. So there's really nothing, I mean, there's no one way to do it. You know, there's no certain technique. So it's really about just expanding someone's consciousness and letting go of that fear so they can actually walk in their owning that they carry this frequency and it's actually affecting others and healing them.
Did you find your interest in the reconnective healing and then do a reconnection yourself and then do the training, or did you do the training first then reconnect it? How'd they mix together?
So I started playing with the frequencies, and I was working with my friends, and I worked with a friend of mine's dad who was in really bad shape, and so the healing that came about from that was actually my first distance session ever. I just said, I'm supposed to do this. And so I searched around, and I found somebody. I still didn't even know about the reconnection, like the 2-day process. And I just knew about reconnective healing and these frequencies. And so I found this lady in Colorado Springs who was giving this presentation. And so I took my family down. Actually, I took my friend down also, who I said, dude, you got to read this book. He read the book. He started feeling them. So we're like, let's go down there. And when we get down there, there's this whiteboard. And it said reconnective healing and the reconnection. And the lady was like, I said, I know what the reconnective healing is, but what's the reconnection? And she told me at one time we were all connected to this larger energy field, and that something happened and we got unconnected, disconnected. And I was like, well, how much is it? And she told me how much it was, and I said, well, we can do this. Well, let's do this. And so as soon as I could, I just got reconnected. And on my first day, it was I was a different person. Like
that was one of our questions. We wanted to know how your life changed after you did your own reconnection.
As a practitioner, I don't like to tell people what happened to me because they go, I want that. You know, but everybody is completely different. So, but I will tell you what happened. But it's, you know, I've never heard of this happening to anybody else. But they have their own thing that happens to them. You know what I mean? Like everybody, like it happens in just the right way for you. But for me, I laid down, and the second she started, I could feel my hands flip over on the table, but they didn't flip over. And so I was just like, what was that? Which way are my hands pointing? Up, down? You know, so I just kind of wasted like 10 minutes just thinking about that. Like, what's going on? And I felt tingling and sensations, and I was seeing these colors and geometric patterns, and I don't usually see colors. You know, I usually see like charcoal gray. You know, I don't see colors when I close my eyes. But for some reason, I was just seeing all these amazing colors. Actually, mostly purple. And you know, she got done and she tapped me, and I was like, damn, that was crazy. And then I sat up, and for some reason, and I don't even know why I'm saying this because everybody's going to start doing this, but just for me, I just put my hands over my eyes, and in that moment, my life flashed before my eyes. I had basically a near-death experience, and I realized that every single thing that I had done was perfect. Like all the bad stuff, all the good stuff, every single thing was perfect. And that I was perfect. And then I quickly realized, I saw that, wait a second, everything's perfect. At this moment, everything is perfect. And this love came into my life, and for like 2 weeks, I I don't really know what happened. I mean, people talk about like Christ consciousness. I think that's the closest I've ever, like the veil dropped and I could see the truth of everything. I like every single person I walked up to, I could feel them. I could feel connected to them like we were, you know, I could just feel them. It was insane. And I'm glad it kind of disappeared because I couldn't function. You can't function when you are crying all the time. Mm-hmm. Nobody wants to talk to you because you're just crying because everything's so amazing. So that disappeared, but the residual was left in me. You know what I mean? Like I remember all that. I don't exactly feel that. Like I can look at that tree and not cry, you know, but I remember that feeling, and I was never the same. I was never the same. And then these frequencies just got so strong that they went from like, you know, this magnetic feeling to almost like these frequencies were like dripping off my body. It was just crazy. It was just nuts. So I think that the reason my reconnection was so fast and so abrupt is, first of all, I came here to hold these frequencies. And I think I'm supposed to tell others about this and teach this. So I think that's why mine was so strong. You know what I mean? I've had friends that I've done videos on that, you know, they had really cool sessions during their reconnection. But then after that, you know, they never really had this crazy, mind-blowing experience. But then like 6 months later, they're like, oh my, who am I? This is like everything has changed for them. But they couldn't go back to one moment. It was so subtle that they just slowly changed into this being of knowing they know they're a spiritual being. They know they're creating their life. They know that their field is affecting everybody around them. Yeah. So it's not really to become a healer. It's really to find yourself. You know, like something happens, like some kind of, it's almost like your higher self and your higher self is always talking to you. But nobody told us how to listen. You know what I mean? Nobody told us how to stay in this communication. And then after the reconnection, this communication is crystal clear. And you just know what's right for you. And you cannot do anything. Like I've had many reconnections where the person just simply, like after the reconnection, they just go in and they just tell their job, you know, I'm done. I can't take this shit anymore. I'm absolutely, thank you for the time, I'm done. Yeah. So it's I don't know how it works. I don't think anybody knows how it works.
It's different for each person, but something definitely happens for everybody.
Yes.
It's just a matter, it's unique to the individual.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And anybody can do it. Do they have to learn a technique or something, or is it?
No,
do you have to be a healer?
No, you don't. Like you said, like you just said, you know, you have to be a healer. Dude, I wasn't a healer. You know what I mean? Like I was just some dude. I was an entrepreneur. I just had my own. You know, I was a golf professional. I invented some products, and I was just an entrepreneur. But I was always seeking the truth, and I always resisted education. I just never, like, the things that our culture teach you, I was always like resistant to that. I was like, this is bullshit. I'm not buying into this, you know?
Does it feel like there was you can call it a golden thread, if you want, kind of a future pool that was on the other side of that portal of being reconnected that led you to it, and it's still pulling you somewhere? Like the reconnection was that's just one of the stops in the journey. That's just one of the portals to go through. There's even greater ones. Like I wonder about trust. You mentioned in some of your videos, you know, trust your higher self. You're being guided, and it seems like after that portal of reconnection, you've taken on a new level of trust. I mean, you're walking the walk. You're doing it. You walked away from money or a regular career, and now you're
certainty.
There's a difference. There's definitely a different life, it looks like now.
Yeah, you know, I always did my own thing, so I'd never had a job that I hated. I mean, I've always been self-employed. I couldn't even imagine like having a boss. Like, I really can't. I mean, I guess when I was in college, I was a waiter. I guess that's having a job.
Okay.
But I don't know. I've always done my own thing. But it was really after the reconnections that the fear of what's going to happen next. What I realized is I'm not smart enough to figure out all the possibilities that are coming towards me. And as soon as I start limiting what the possibilities are, then I'm shutting the doors. And I just like me and my wife, on a whim, just packed everything up, put everything in storage and moved to Mexico for 3 years. It was going to be a year. And then after a year, I realized I was just getting the hang of it. And so we did another year, and then another year. And like now we're in Sedona, and we have no plans. Like, we really don't know where we're going. We have general plans. But yeah, we're just totally just in the moment. And
let's get some water.
Just guided by our higher self. When I was younger, I remember I've always had this thing against Christianity. I don't know why. I think it's because now, in retrospect, I think that I've been persecuted and judged and ridiculed in so many lifetimes that there was just nothing in me that was going to buy into organized religion. Like, I don't know what it was, because I wasn't, I was raised by parents that they didn't drag me to church. They just lived the golden rule, treat the people. Mm-hmm. And I remember people would say, like, you have to give yourself over to Jesus. And I just couldn't relate to that at all. That just didn't resonate with me. I was like, well, you can't handle life. You know what I mean? Like you're. And now, it's a little bit different. Like, I have given myself over to my higher self. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's what Jesus was saying.
Yep.
Jesus was a master. He was on this planet, and he was saying, I believe that he was trying to communicate our current understanding of like quantum mechanics, and how we're all connected in this field, and how we're creating. But his basic message was, be me. Everything I can do, you can do, and more. And I don't think they really understood him back then. I don't think they really understand him now. No. But I think that's what he was saying. I think that's what he's saying. Did I answer the question?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, it's just I like what you were saying. It's very true. I don't think that. Also, all the writings that we have that document Jesus are old, vague. You have to question their authenticity. There's some that you're really taking second-hand, third-hand, fifth-hand, 15th-hand knowledge that may or may not.
Mm-hmm.
So really, I think something for me at least is you can just feel Jesus.
Yeah.
I think if you just go, I feel you. You get it.
You get it.
Then you get it.
You
okay,
get it.
I'll leave that. That book is boring as hell.
We need no more middlemen. The middleman between us and our Creator is obsolete. It's an 8-track player. I think that organized religion has done such a good job of creating a view of the world that people don't trust themselves, and they're afraid to death of Satan. I don't even want to get into Satan. That Satan shit just I can't even, like, it just blows my mind that people, especially when I didn't realize how deep it went, because I wasn't raised in a
Mm-hmm.
religious environment, even though my parents lived the golden rule. I didn't realize how screwed up people were with this fear and this sin and this guilt until I started a YouTube channel, and I started getting these comments from these people that are the most crazy, bizarre. I mean, I'm like, oh my God, you really believe, like, this is what you believe? This is, because what you believe you are creating. Mm-hmm. And so, if you think Satan's out to get you, then guess what? You're going to see Satan everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's mind blowing. So it's been very interesting getting real life comments from people, because like I've always lived in a bubble world. You know, I've always I don't need, I just me and my family, but yeah, those comments, it was like, holy shit, dude, that's what you believe? Oh my God. Good luck with that.
Oh, wow. Well, it sounds like some people are on the love train and some are on the fear train. You did a YouTube, I think it was called like the love train and the fear train, and you mentioned how Bashar, he spoke about that.
Yeah, I got that from him.
And you were talking about that. And so it seems like we're on the love train or the fear train. And I wonder, since it seems like 2018, you got to be on one or the other, because it's going to get harder. It's going to get harder to jump. It's going to be hard to switch trains at the station. So where are we at with that? So it is 2018 now, and it seems like humanity is really heading in two different directions. There really is a love and a fear train, and it seems like there's two fractal patterns going in opposite directions.
Yeah. I think I don't really watch the news, but just turn on the news for about 3 seconds.
Yes.
And it's like, oh my God, okay.
I did that the other day.
This is real.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I find the news so repulsive. It's just unbelievable.
It's like a knife in the gut. It really is.
It's unbelievable. But yeah, that was Bashar that mentioned that metaphor, and then that also ties in with like Dolores Cannon. You know what I mean? Are you familiar with Dolores Cannon?
Yeah.
Yeah, when she's talking about the splitting of the earth, the new earth, and even in the Bible, they're talking about the new earth.
Mm-hmm.
And
you see it everywhere.
You see it's everywhere, and so sometimes and then there's all these people and they're talking about the event.
Yes, we want to ask you about
shift.
that. Yeah, the shift, the event.
And I don't think it's going to go down the way some people think it is. But there's clearly something, like when people say start talking about the event. To be honest with you, if I'm to look at my life, and that's really the only way we can view the world, is through our life and our experiences, I'm in the fifth dimension, because every single person that I meet is friendly and nice, and they're a mirror reflection of me, and because that's the way I am. I will go out of my way to help somebody, and that's all I meet. Or I don't meet any of these people that are mean or rude, and it's been like this for so long. I can't even remember the last time I met somebody that was an asshole to me. Mm-hmm. I can't. And so I kind of feel like I'm already in the fifth dimension. Mm-hmm. Is there going to be a big purple wave of energy that comes in and all of a sudden assholes disappear off the planet? I don't know. That would be cool, but I don't think that's the way it's going to play out. But who knows? That'd be cool.
It would be cool. I mean, you hear a lot of even scientists. Dr. Paul Violette talks about the Galactic Wave.
Yeah.
You hear a lot of stuff about the sun and the sun changing.
Yeah.
And it comes from all different angles and all different beliefs.
Totally.
Which I find interesting. So we as humans kind of feel like something's coming. We all talk about it. And then I was telling Craig this morning, I thought, well, if you are so focused on this bad thing happening, you're on that fractal that's going to make that happen. You're going to agree onto that and go that way.
Yep.
So if you don't see it, just talking about Jesus, that's how he healed. He didn't see your illness. He didn't see it.
Yeah. Yeah, he saw you as perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another thing I thought was interesting about Jesus, and I could be wrong about this, but I was just back in Ohio, and that's where I grew up. And I found it interesting how I don't think Jesus did any healings in his hometown. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, he did that on the road. Because when I go back to Ohio, and I'm not, there's no comparison here at all, but I'm just saying in my life, there's absolutely no comparison. So, but what I'm saying is in my life, when I go back to my hometown, people view me the way they used to know me.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
And so, I don't know. I mean, I am like 70,000 shifts away from that person. And so, I mean, I think we're a new person a billion times a second.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So when you go through these major life shifts, and then you go back and you feel that somebody is approaching you like you were when you were 28 years old, it's like, wow, okay, that's cool. I mean, you know, it's all good, but it's just weird.
It is.
It's a really, and I think parents are really good at that. You know what I mean? Like once you're their little boy, then you're their little boy, and you know, I don't know, it's just interesting.
Yeah.
But, I don't know how I even got on that subject. You were talking about.
Oh, it doesn't matter. That's how our interviews go. They're like,
Yeah.
Yeah, getting off track, off the rails is always
That's
the
what we
best.
do.
That's
always the best
perfect.
stuff. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, you did mention that it would be, you know, if you're not on the love train in like 2018, it's going to be harder to get on it. You know, so do you feel that people are on one train or the other right now? I mean, is it actually harder to jump trains?
I don't know, but it sure seems that way.
Yeah.
What I'm seeing is these waves of people that are waking up. And what I mean by waking up is, you know, there's what does that even mean, awake? You know what I mean? Like that could mean, to me, somebody that just now realizes, wait a second, our government's not telling us the truth. You know what I mean? The pharmaceutical companies are giving us pills that are keeping us sick. Our educational system is designed to create workers, not thinkers. It crushes, you know, like, so they're like, oh, wait a second, there's more going on. But then there's the awakening way, we're like, wait a second, we're all one. God is inside us. We are literally all connected. So that's quite a spectrum, you know what I mean? Because when you first start to wake up and you're like, wait a second, we're not being told the truth, you feel like a victim. And then that, you know, that victim mentality fits really well with not finding your power. You know what I mean? So to me, that's the first stages of awake, is to realize, wait a second, everything I know is bullshit. And then it increases, and hopefully they find that path to empowerment and to the truth of how our reality works. Because you can get stuck in those rabbit holes for a long time. And so I think that the people that are at least awake enough to realize, I think they're sliding to the love train. You know what I mean? Whereas the people that just know everything and they're rock solid and their hate and their racism and their, I mean, I know there's been racism, but damn.
Not like now.
Like I'm seeing shit now. It's like, it's 2018.
Yeah.
What did you just say? Are you shitting me? Like you are a fucking 8-track player. Like, oh my God, I can't believe that came out of your mouth. And I find racism and things like that, like, so disgusting that I have to say something. Like I cannot let that slide. Like me and my wife were having dinner last night with our kids, and I heard this lady across on the other table, this older white lady, use the N-word. And dude, something in me, it came over me so strong, and I literally, if she said it again, I was going to get up and, you know, when we talk about remembering who we are and stuff, dude, if you think you haven't been every race, and like we've done it all. We've done it. We went through everything, and I think we're starting to remember that. I think we're starting to, I think we're just starting to remember that we've had other experiences before this planet, and it's just, yeah.
Well, and waking up, you know, it is hard to define, but I like the metaphor from the movie The Matrix, where at first you are asleep, you're in the pod, you belong to the Matrix, there's nothing but the Matrix, and then divine providence notices you, these divine helpers, they help you wake up, then you pull that plug out, and then like just like Neo realizes, I was in a pod, you look and you go, oh my God, this world is fucked up, you know, and then that's like when Morpheus says, you know, welcome to the desert of the real world, you know, and then you find your tribe, you find that love train on the Nebuchadnezzar,
Mm-hmm.
and you start to train, you start to learn, and then eventually you're Neo, and you stop bullets metaphorically, as in you don't have to play by the rules of this
Yes.
matrix. You're doing it
Yes.
yourself. So I think waking up, you are somewhere along that path, and the big moment is when you pull that plug out the back of your head, and now you're in control of yourself. Now you're self-aware, and the higher self is where you come from.
Yep.
Now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Rather than, because until then you're the matrix. You're overridden.
Yep. Yep.
And
Absolutely.
it can use you. Like, I think right now the crazy stuff we're seeing, the matrix decided I need to defend myself.
Yep.
People are
Yep,
waking
yep.
up. So
Totally.
when everybody's still plugged in, we gotta call them in. They all got to start working for us.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have.
You know, I also get people, and when they start waking up, their life goes into turmoil.
Mm-hmm.
And like, what the hell's going on here? Like, I feel like I'm on the right path, and I'm on this spiritual journey, and now my life sucks. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I think that's the way it is.
Yes.
It's just like it's. You know, I'm getting ready to do a video right after this, and it's going to be my first. And it's this. Are you guys familiar with Richard Bach?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, his book, The Illusions.
Mm-hmm.
And do you remember the first 2 minutes? It's about there's these creatures that live at the bottom of this crystal river, and the current of this river is constantly flowing over them. You know, young, old, rich, poor, good, evil. It's flowing over everybody. And these creatures have been taught to cling to the bottom of these twigs and these rocks. And they're just clinging. That's all they know how to do, is to cling to these rocks. And finally, one of these creatures is just like, dude, I am done with this clinging shit. I'm going to let go. And then everybody and all the other creatures like, you fool. You let go, and this current you worship will just bang you against the rocks and kill you. And he says, well, you know what? I think I would rather be banged and killed than die of boredom, of clinging to these rocks. And so he lets go. And then he gets banged up and beaten by these rocks and these twigs. But he just refuses to cling again. I'm not clinging. And then the current rises him up. And so he never gets banged up again. And so he's floating by in the current, and these other creatures just like him, they're clinging, and they look up and they're like, look at that. It's our savior. It's a creature like us, but he flies. And he goes, I'm not a savior. Let go. And they're like, what? They're like, oh, he's gone. And then and I think that's what's happening, is people are waking up. But right when you wake up, you get shit happens in your life. You know what I mean? Like this turmoil. Yeah, exactly. But dude, just trust that the current has its direction, and you will find new friends, and you will find a job that works for you, and you will find that you will draw to you. You have to let go of that. What we've been told.
It's painful. It's like
It's hard.
after Neo had been awake for a little bit on the Nebuchadnezzar, he asked Morpheus, why do my eyes hurt? And Morpheus says, it's because you've never used them.
Yeah,
So it's almost like, well, you've never used your heart or your mind or your intuition. So, yeah, you know.
Exactly. There is a little rough area that will pass. Just don't cling back to these limited understandings of our world.
Yeah.
Definitely. Okay. I'm gonna find a note here. Thanks to the magic of editing, we can do that.
It's cool.
I wanted to actually. This is great. Moving on to this next part.
God, there's still so much lighter.
So there's lots of negativity right now, as we've been talking about. Yet people are waking up, and there's a great quote. I'm gonna read it. Okay. Or do you want to read it? Because you said it.
Go ahead.
You said it.
No.
Okay. No more matching other people's frequency. The last thing you want to do is lower your frequency to match theirs to make them feel better about their shitty beliefs.
I did say that, didn't I?
You did say that.
I did.
You
Very
did.
profound.
And so it's like, and so with that, like you mentioned, you lose friends. Life gets difficult when you begin to wake up. Things change. It's a different world now. So while you're going through that hard spot, or even while you've been awake for a while, how do you continue to be free. Here's one. You mentioned that, to figure out what's right for you, follow your excitement.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
that's not as easy. I think that's easy.
We get told a lot that you're burying your head in the sand when you follow your excitement. When you don't look at the negativity, you're saying, well, I'm not going to look at the news.
Yeah.
I'm going to feel from my excitement. What is my higher self leading me to do? And that feels right. And you're constantly feeling for this excitement while everyone's telling you, hey, Pollyanna, get your head out of the sand.
Yeah.
The world's going to fall apart.
Yeah.
And you didn't say that. It's
they
your
don't
fault.
get it.
Yeah.
They just don't get it.
Yeah.
They don't understand how powerful they are. They don't understand how this world works. Once you understand that you are creating your life and how powerful you are, then the last thing you want to do is give that energy. So people they're really, really good at focusing on what's wrong. Well, when you focus on what's wrong, you're keeping that momentum going. You're creating that. Instead of focusing on what's wrong, you need to focus on, and you don't even have to focus on how to change it. Focus on the world that you want to live in.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like you won't be able to access how to change the problem unless you're at the frequency of the answer. You know what I mean? And you're never going to be at the frequency of the answer when you're focused on the problem. I think Einstein said that. Like Einstein said, you'll never solve a problem at the frequency of the problem.
Yeah.
You have to. So, and that's, I mean, to me, to focus on everything that's wrong is just juvenile. Like, and you know what? Go ahead and do that. Go do that for 20 years.
Oh, yeah, they're
I did it for
miserable.
20 years.
Mm-hmm.
Go do that for 20 years and see how that works out for you. And then focus, and then quit focusing on that and focus on what's important to you and see how your life changes.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're living in a different world. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, they're just the people that are so focused on all the, Trump and the politicians, they're all depressed is what I've noticed.
Mm-hmm.
They're all depressed and upset and in this state of fear all the time.
And you mentioned they lose their talent.
Yes, I have seen that happen as well.
So people who are good artists, good writers, good
musicians, they start focusing on that, and it just seems like their talent seems to go away.
Yeah.
Because they're dipping their pen in that ink of fear.
Yes.
And they're painting. They're using that to paint and create with, and you can see it. I've seen it happen right in front of my eyes. Their talent's gone.
Yeah. I think it was set up that way. I think politics was set up that way. It was designed to separate us. It was designed to keep us in the state of fear.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the very notion that everybody is 100% fulfilled and in agreement with 2 points of view, like you're on the left or the right, whatever team, and that's it. It's like, oh, well, the world would be perfect if my team won. It's like, all right, that's really pretty narrow-minded. Yeah, it's kind of funny. I think it's
not my game.
I've oftentimes felt like that's something to do with sports. Like if you live in a sports town, I lived in Seattle for a while, you see how sports are beyond religion to many people. And I've oftentimes thought that Americans especially, I'm sure it's the same in other countries, but they actually are trained to just support a team through sports, like my team won. It's like, we won. No, you watched, they won.
Yeah.
They don't have anything to do with you, most wouldn't give you the sweat off their ass if you were dying of thirst.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of how the empire, as I'll call it, gets away with politics so well, because people have been trained since childhood. Pick a team. Yeah. Pick a team. Okay, this one. I want that one to win. Why? Cause.
Yeah. It's the Roman gladiators. Like everything's falling apart. Like, hey man, go watch this.
Yeah.
Go watch the gladiators.
Go be distracted.
There is a part of me though that thinks that sports is some sort of release for a build-up tension and bullshit in someone's life. They hate their job, they hate this, but when they watch sports, it's almost like they can get that out of them. You know what I mean? Like I don't do that, but
I see that.
I think there's probably some kind of
there's always different levels, different angles and levels and realities to things. Like we were cruising through upstate New York and we were going through. We just decided to drive through this old community, and there was a bunch of people out playing baseball in the early evening, and every single one of them had a catching mitt in one hand and a beer in the other.
They were just having the best time.
Yeah,
This
that's
little
cool.
small town, just
That's cool.
Yeah, it's almost like there's just like there's great
Fellowship.
journalism,
Yeah.
learning about the world, and there's also the mainstream media, which is very
Yeah.
different. So there's like, pure, beautiful sports that have a value. Then of course there's the corrupt, definitely ill stuff that's going on. So let's see. So there's a lot to be said for learning to live really to that one biblical line, since we're talking about such things. Be still and know that I am God. Along with to be at peace in the midst of hell. It seems like really, to keep following that excitement and to be, grounded in yourself where you can grow. It really seems like it's a bit of a razor's edge. I know that I would like it to be easy, but I constantly find myself, falling off one side or the other. It really is, to me, even still today, quite a tightrope to walk. I'll be blissed out on the higher self. I'm like feeling my essence and my excitement, doing really good. Then I'll see like, oh my God, that 3 seconds immediate. I'm like, fuck, anger, pure anger,
That happened to me the other day.
Anger.
It happens to me all the time.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was doing so well.
It's
and then,
how long does that last?
That's a trick. Less and less. I do
Yeah.
my best.
Yeah.
gotta be aware.
Yeah.
Gotta be aware of it.
Especially for me, I know one thing I'm struggling with right now is how much to be aware of the world. Like you're on essence, you're focused on what you're working on, you're feeling good, that's your work in the world, that's what you owe yourself, that's what you can do for the world. But then how much do you care about like the Arizona Senate race? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where it's like, I don't really want to turn off the world, but I do not want it to affect my essence.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
My work, myself. I mean.
Yeah. As far as politics, I just don't care anymore. I think that America got exactly what they deserve. I think that Donald Trump is the epitome, the shining example of everything that's wrong in the world. I do. I think that he's like, I think he's perfect. See, from my perspective, everything is fucked up. Everything. Like our system
Every
is
structure
completely broke.
is dying.
So, in my opinion, I read this and I majored in philosophy, and I can't remember who wrote this, but it was this one line that always sticks with me, and it was, you cannot rebuild a machine with the same tools and parts that were used to build that machine. And so I'm thinking like the people in office, you can't rebuild this system. It's broke.
It's gotta die.
It's got to implode.
Yeah.
And so I think that Donald Trump will speed up the implosion. I think that the alternative, Hillary Clinton, would have attempted to kick the can down the road. Dude, I'm 52. I've seen the can kicked down the road my whole life. And I'm done with the can kicking down the road. I want to see a complete implosion. Like some things, like to me, it's just like let's say our banking system. So say you go out and you buy a house, and everybody think, oh yeah, that's just the way it is. No, dude, that's bullshit. So say you go out and you buy a house and it's $300,000. You save all, you got your little job and you're saving your money and you put your money down, and then you take out a 30-year loan. Well, that $300,000 house is going to cost you $600,000. Dude, that's crazy. That's insanity. And people are, yeah, that's the bank's got. Like, no, dude, that to me, that's insanity. That, I don't know. And that's just accepted, like we have to breathe air. Oh yeah.
And nobody questions it.
Nobody questions
any of it.
It's not even, I don't know, I think that's, I understand the banks need to make money, but how about like 330, about 340? Why does it have to be 600? Why? I don't know.
Well, then
everything's screwed up. So.
Then when you realize that the banks and the government and the media the mainstream media, let's say the corporate media, they're one. This is one entity.
Yeah.
They're not three separate things. So you've got like, and so it's kind of enforced. Like I recently, got into cryptocurrency, and it wasn't really until I did that I understood that money is a control system, and so basically, like that's why the governments don't like gold, they don't like silver, they don't like regular cash.
Anything right here, right?
You're good.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah, they want to know everything you're doing. They want to know every transaction. It's funny. So we are living in this in this control grid called like banks, government, media, and it is bullshit. And it's like it's an evolution of bullshit. So
well, it's very empowering to know that it's bullshit.
Yeah.
It's very empowering to let all that go, and you see the systems are all dying. I say let them die. What are you fighting for your own enslavement for? Better schools. You're not going to get better schools. You're going to get better indoctrination.
Yeah.
So I just say let it all fall, and just sit out here and look at the vortex.
And will it be rough for a couple years? Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be. It's not going to be an easy
Guess
thing.
what? We'll handle it.
Yeah.
We'll be able to adapt.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
Oh yeah.
But
so what do we owe that? Like what is that individual who's awake? They pull the plug out. They realized, oh crap, I'm in the matrix. Now they're, on doing their initiate training in the world, spiritual initiate. So what do they owe the world? I mean, do you need to try to save it? Because to me, it seems like anybody who's saying, I'm trying to save the world, it just seems like...
Wow, once you take on a big responsibility.
You're being hijacked.
It does, because I mean, there's plenty of dictators who've killed millions who tried to save the world in their own minds. It's almost like the very notion itself tends to have... I tell you, when you say, I want to save the world, it's almost like demons are waiting for that intent. Is it just about saving yourself and letting the world fall apart? I mean, to me, it's a difficult balance.
Yeah, it's definitely a difficult balance, but this is Earth, dude, and that's why we're here.
Yeah.
To walk that thin line. I vote, since everything is so screwed up, I vote save yourself, and then you will be able to do more benefit to the people around you.
I agree.
I think you said, I think you changed, and from my perspective, that the external world is a mirror, and we were talking about this, I feel like I'm living in the fifth dimension, and so the world that I interact with is a mirror image of my deepest beliefs. So when your beliefs change, your experience in the world will change. And so, and I think one of the things that people do is when they go into this like awakening and they start realizing how empowered they are, they immediately feel like, they look outside to prove them right. No, dude, it's inside. It's how you view it. And so you can go from, oh my God, everything is just totally screwed up. And then you go through the shift inside and you're looking at the same thing and you're like, this is perfect. This is exactly the way it's supposed to go right now. So I think that I think that the world is a mirror reflection of your inner beliefs, and you don't it's the classic metaphor is you don't look in the mirror. If you're frowning and you look in the mirror, you don't look and you try to fix the reflection.
Yeah.
You change this and the reflection changes. So I think that's what it is.
And there was in Hermetic wisdom they say that the world, the earth, is a thought. And you could say it's a thought of God as a background, and then we are, God in it, playing characters. So
you guys had one of the best conversations.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And so, so if the earth, if the earth is a thought, basically, that's one thought from Hermetic wisdom. And then also, like in the Vedas, like from India, the great writings, they would say that there's many earths, and there's some that are just, they really suck, it's awful, and some that are they're like heavenly realms. And they say that the earth, this one that we're on, is about average. It's good. It's not really bad, not really not really wonderful.
Mhm.
And they'd say that really it's a background for your growth. It's a stage and you're the actor, is their idea. And they say, so this is where you're at, so just do it. You know, go live the battle of life, go do it. And then you've also got the Course in Miracles, that extremely lengthy New Age writing, where it says that there is no world, there is only your thoughts about the world. It doesn't exist. It's kind of just to back up what you're saying. Okay, so I guess our final stuff.
Well, I mean,
We
I was
covered
kinda-
so much.
We did, but I was going to ask you just I love listening to your Mandela effect, and I was wondering if you've noticed.
I think that, to me, that proves the multiverse.
Yes.
There's just no question.
No question. Have you noticed anything recently?
I don't spend much time with that anymore,
Yeah.
because what's the latest thing I've noticed?
It can just be stuff like I've walked out before. I've told this story before, but I've walked out into my neighborhood, taking my dog for a walk every morning. And one day there was this tree, and it was alive one day. I'm always looking at the trees. I love botany, and then the next day I come out and it's dead. It's dead. And then a few days later, it's completely alive again. And I've seen trees move around and all sorts of things out there. And I know my neighborhood.
Yeah.
And it makes you feel crazy.
Yeah.
It's little things.
I think me and my wife are on the same page with the multiverse and all that. So you'd never know, like I am 100% a believer in the multiverse. That we're constantly shifting, you know, a billion times a second through these, depending on our choices. And so it does seem to be getting a little carried away. Like even last night, and it could be, you know, I don't know what it is. I'm not saying, oh, this is sliding through the multiverse. But this is what happened. We go to order the food, and I swear, in my reality, my wife says, okay, get a large pizza, pepperoni and pineapple for the kids, and get 10 medium wings for her. So I swear that's what she said. She's standing right there. So I go, let me have large pepperoni and pineapple pizza and 10 wings medium. And then so we go sit down, and she says, these aren't a barbecue. And I go, you told me to get medium. And she's like, I told you to get barbecue. And I'm thinking like, well, I bet everything that I have that you said 10 medium wings. And so it's like, is it even getting down to those little like moments of like, you know, I don't really spend much time on that anymore.
But you do notice it, and
I notice it.
Yeah, you've just come to realize that you live in the multiverse, and anything can happen. And I just relax into it now. I don't even think twice about it.
I mean, once you see the big changes, I mean, it only takes a couple of big changes to this has happened.
Yeah.
You know, and for some reason, one of the biggest ones for me was Ed McMahon.
Oh yeah.
In the Publishers Clearinghouse. I mean, like, I remember filling out those forms because Ed McMahon, I was going to win.
Yeah.
Ed McMahon was going to show up with a big fat check and give me some money. And in this reality, he never. So, I don't know. It's just little things.
Oh, like Dolly's braces.
Oh, Dolly's.
That's the one that freaks me out the most. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Come on. That was the whole point.
That was anybody that thinks, anybody that can watch that and she doesn't have braces. Well, the fact is if you read the comments, everybody's like, dude, where's your braces?
Yeah.
Like, and how could this huge chunk of people all have the same memory? It's I don't know. And you know, you can deny it. That's cool. I don't try to convince anybody of anything anymore. I can really care less.
Yeah.
I mean, all I'm doing is saying my truth. I'm so sick of hearing other people's fucking truths. You know, especially the Christians and all. I'm like, shh, no.
Yeah.
Here's what I gotta say. And if you like it, cool. Watch. And if you don't, there's other people. Like, go find somebody that's your flavor. So I don't know. But that's clearly happening. like something is clearly happening.
Yeah, I think that's one of the when I have felt fellowship with you when you were talking about that, because you can feel so odd and you don't really know what it is, and you sort of brought it out for me and defined it a bit, and I didn't feel as crazy because I was noticing those things too.
Well, what I found interesting is when I first discovered that, and I brought my wife down, and I was like, dude, check this out, because this is what I remember. And we went through, like, literally there was like 100 of them in like 2 hours. And she remembered everything exactly the way I remembered. And so I started, over the next month, I'd talk to my friends, and every single person that I knew remembered exactly what I remembered. And then I'm reading these comments, and everybody's like, oh my God, everybody thinks I'm crazy. Like, nobody remembers this. And, like, I don't know, and I feel all alone. And I'm thinking, like, holy shit. Every single person I talked to remembers JFK. There was 4 people in the car.
Mm-hmm.
And then I realized, wait a second. Every single person that I've talked to has been reconnected and have had sessions. And then I remembered, oh my God, when these frequencies came on the planet, what you're doing is reconnecting strands. What you're doing is reconnecting strings.
Mm-hmm.
String theory, the multiverse, connect. I was like, dude, there's something's going on here.
Mm-hmm.
So I emailed Eric, and I'm like, hey, dude, what do you think reconnecting strings meant? And I said, because I'll tell you what I think it means. I think it means we're becoming conscious of 2 different realities at the same time. And he says, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, well, shit. Like, there's just no way that every single person that I know would remember what I remembered.
Yeah.
And then all these other people are saying, I'm all alone. I don't know, there's something going on.
Yeah. Well, that's an hour. I don't want to wear the poor man out for his.
Oh yeah. Well, I guess is there anything you want to talk about? I mean, here we did our little interview. We usually try to keep them to around an hour, but we don't stick to it.
Yeah, we don't want to keep you too long either.
I'm good, man. I don't have anything to do besides go back to my 3 kids and 3 dogs and wife and
hang out.
Well, something that you mentioned is that you're here right now and you don't know where you're going next. You don't necessarily have a plan. You just are. And I mean, I think that is a real challenge. That's something I know I'm working on, and I think it's definitely a challenge for a lot of people. Is it just I think, as Neil Kramer puts it, is my quiet presence like is your quiet presence good enough? Just is my silent goodness, is my presence, is just being good enough? Am I fulfilled? And I think that, at least for me, and that's something I'm working on, is where just I'm always just okay, and I don't have a plan, and I don't know what I'm going to do next, and I don't have to. I think it's almost like I'm trusting that, working on trusting that, like
why are you working on it?
That's true. That's true.
Why
It's
don't
a
you
good
just trust it?
Oh,
Just
I
sit
like
back
that.
in the hammock. That's what I say. I see a hammock in my head. I'm just like, I'm going to sit back and swing. And
Yeah. I think it's an addiction to doing and having a plan. It can be as bad as it's as bad of an addiction as like watching the news.
Mm-hmm.
It's just this addiction. We gotta have a plan. What's next?
I think one of the things that helped me was realizing that my plans never worked out. You know what I mean? Like when I was a golf professional, my life was planned out. Didn't play out the way I thought. You know what I mean? Like my inventions, my art career in New York, like my plans never worked out. So I said, fuck plans.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like
I love that.
As soon as I let go of my plans, that's when my life started to become magical. And I would have experiences that I could have never anticipated, meeting people that I couldn't have ever imagined meeting. It was almost like as soon as I let go of the controls and just fully trusted that I was being drawn to, I don't even know where. You know what I mean? Like I don't even want to limit it to like, I just, and a lot of people, my last video I was talking about, I maybe I make it too simple. Maybe I'm just like, dude, just trust yourself. Just follow your instinct. And it kind of goes back to, I didn't realize how much fear, and one thing, when I was raised, I was very, very blessed. I had parents that told me they loved me. I had parents that told me I could do whatever I wanted if I wanted it bad enough. So that's the environment that I grew up in. So I had very little baggage. And now I'm realizing that that's rare. And that most people, they don't even know where to begin to trust themselves. Because as soon as that how do you trust yourself when you're in the state of fear all the time? You know what I mean? You're afraid to fucking do everything.
Right.
Well, how do you... And I'm not even sure I'm the right person to answer that question because I've never experienced that. Maybe I'm just that dude that's just saying, I'm doing it and it's working out magical. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, if somebody is constantly afraid of Satan, I don't know if I'm the right person to teach them how. But I do know if they get a reconnection, they will figure it out really quick. Like so maybe my job is just to be an everyday guy, just a normal guy that people feel comfortable around, and say, yeah, I don't radiate any like fear, any shit, and maybe that's just my path to.
Thanks for listening to Radiant Creators. Check out more content at radiantcreators.com. If you like the show, give it a like. Share this. Comment. Keep the conversation going. You can also find us at alternatecurrentradio.com, where there's this show and a lot more.